everyone. We warmly welcome you all to our special program brought to you by Indian Achievers Forum. I'm your host, Vatika Singh. Indian Achievers Award is an honor that celebrates the people who went extraordinary to effectuate their aspirations and ideas. In this series, we emphasize not only on the struggles and achievements of the people, but also on the social contributions they did to their native land, India. Before introducing you all to our one such achiever, let's take a look at the small AV.
Indian Achievers Forum is driven by a full-fledged advisory board. The board consists of experienced personalities who have excelled in their respective careers. Together, the forum organizes conferences, events, workshops, exhibitions, trade shows, and B2B initiatives in India as well as abroad. Where there is passion, there is achievement. And where there is achievement, there is Indian Achievers Forum.
Today we have with us Mr. K. Basi Reddy, who's a technocrat, a visionary, a futurist, and more than all, a true patriot. After spending 27 years in USA, he came back to India to serve his motherland. Mr. Reddy has played a pivotal role in the transformation of digital technology in India. He was the first person to introduce digital technology into the films in India for the first time in 2003. That has created a huge revolution. Later, he aspired to make Hyderabad a world class gaming and animation hub in India. In 2007, he endeavored to bring out a specific policy for the development of animation, visual effects, gaming, and comics industry in Andhra Pradesh. He was influential from initiating to conceptualizing the game policy in the combined state of Andhra Pradesh, which was launched by the government of Andhra Pradesh in January 2014. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hi, ma'am. I'm doing fine. Hello to everyone in this group if they ever future to join. Thank you.
Right, sir. So, before entering into the questions, tell us something about you and your professional journey.
Well, I am basically consider myself as a simple man. I'm not a genius. I take. Basically, my success has been always been the existing technologies, how we should implement into our Indian environment is what I have been accomplishing so far to start with. And it's been a struggling journey in India. Ever since I came back, I was also politically inclined, and I realized politics is not something like for people like me. It took little time, but in the film industry, how do I say this? When I was in US, when I was watching the movies of Hollywood, as well as we used to get the videotapes or DVD ROMs and so on and so forth, played on our home entertainment systems, and majority of the movies had a similar story. And I always thought that we have more creativity in our nation than simply a hero, heroine, villain, and fights and songs and so on and so forth. So then when I came back to investigate why is it like this, in my trips I used to come and go back and forth. I was involved in a company called Scient now today. It was called Infotech Enterprises. I'm a promoting partner. I was the vice president for that. We started the business with digitizing the CAD drawings, and then we emerged into GIS and AM/FM technologies. We had people working in India, and I used to coordinate with the clients over there in US. So having said that, it's when I used to come here, I started investigating, and I found out that majority of the industry is in few hands, even here, Bollywood or Tollywood or Hollywood or whatever it is. They are in few hands because the trying to take the movies was very expensive, the initial investments in the film and so on and so forth. So what I said, well, I used to go around with a digital pocket camera. We used to take pictures. They said when we can do digitally still photographs, why not 24 frames? And then Sony had a very good product, and LucasArts used it in Star Wars. So I said, why not? Why can't we use it in India? So that's how my journey started, and so that it can democratize. The more creative people can come forward if the initial costs are very low. They could show their creativity and their talent. It doesn't have to be the same rigmarole what we every day see in the past. So I think it's gave an opportunity. Today you can see millions of people in India alone are doing their small Instagram videos or TikTok videos or you name it. I mean, they're taking short films, short series. They're so engaged and so thrilled with themselves, and they're coming out with such great products and all that stuff. I'm really satisfied and proud to have been part of that sooner than later. I mean, it would have been come with me or without me, but introducing at the time, taking such huge losses in investments means something. That means, I was a catalyst, at least. That's all I believe in.
Indeed, sir. So, on that note, moving ahead, we know for a fact that starting anything has never been easy for any one of us. So, what all were the challenging predicaments that you had to go through initially when you started?
Well, whenever there is an established society is there, established in the sense for 50, 60 years in the business, they most of the times tend to stop the newcomers in any industry, for that matter. It's always true. And so, I mean, they will have more of a control and all that stuff. Initially, when we got the agreements and all that stuff, and the people who were there for so many years, they had their hands in distribution, they had their hands in exhibition. Well, if you shoot it in digital, we don't release it because they also own their labs, film processing labs. And they were so deep rooted and established in the industry as such in all the sectors, it naturally becomes difficult. Several producers cancel their agreements. Yeah, I'm saving so much of money, but I'm going to lose more if I don't get the distribution of it, if I don't get the satellite contracts on this. So these kinds of stuff. So I mean, but still, then I had to take the movies on my own, and we started producing movies. It says, and for both the movies, which we did one after the other, received the best and the second best movies of the state. It's a state Nandi Awards, they call it, it's AP State Awards for best films and all the stuff they used to do. It's a great honor. Two movies, two in a row. One we received a gold and one we received a silver, and four other awards, five other gold awards for acting, character artist, and all that stuff, type of story, those kinds of stuff. So we were very happy, and after that, more people started looking into this, and then even I had to struggle with INPR department also. I visited them several times in Delhi because at the time they don't used to give the censorship for the digitally produced movies, and even though they're full-fledged movies, they say it's a video format. And when it's a video format, then the other problems were there. I mean, satellite channels and all that stuff were giving you less money. So I had discussions with joint secretaries and secretaries every time at the CII meet or film, our international film festival in Goa. We used to have a booth there to introduce the people to the newer technologies. So we were very active in trying to even bring in even bureaucratic entities into understanding that this is quite normal and this is the way it should be done, type of thing. So eventually they agreed, and it took me like 4 or 5 years, I think, to get it to a level of being certified by the censor board as a movie, as a film. I mean, as a film capable of distributing in the theaters. So we had to share them with so much of technology and explain them. And I spent hours discussing these things with them, and in several seminars here and there. So those difficulties, as you said, for any beginner, will have. Even cell phones had their difficulties and so on and so forth initially to install. I mean, establish themselves. So I mean, still there are rumors that they are not good for our physical health and so on and so forth. But still, people are using it. It's convenient. So now the digital movie making is very convenient. Anybody, anytime they can, Harry can have a script and have some good stars and go out and make something and put it on YouTube, if not anywhere, and show their talent and show their skill, that they are worth something. I mean, that's the opportunity uh, getting to someone itself is a great achievement for them. In some way or other, I initiated that in the initial stages, not now, 18 years ago. So I feel good about it, and I thank you for your forum for giving me this honor. I really appreciate your recognition of my efforts, and I thank you all, your committee, your members, and everybody a lot.
Right, sir. So, moving ahead, talking about Digiquest Academy, what exactly does Digiquest Academy do for people?
Now, what happened, ma'am? Once I started this and we started doing some CG work in our movies where we contracted out or where we produced ourselves, to find a good, talented people was far and few in between. And when I investigated, there were hardly any colleges. There was only one animation college here, 4-year degree college, the government funded, government supported, Jawaharlal Nehru Fine Arts University. Then I happened to meet them sometime, and then I said, "Hey, listen, why don't you have associations with the industry, and we will start the colleges under your affiliation and so on and so forth." They liked the idea. It's like a industry and academy joining hands together because they didn't have the tools, they didn't have the cameras, they didn't have the color grading equipment, they didn't have editing softwares, high-end color grading softwares. So they invited some of us as an MOU, and later on they said that it is illegal to have MOU to a university, and they say they've been following this for umpteen years and so on and so forth. We went through our own troubles in that also. I had to literally struggle a lot at the highest level. Finally, the chief secretary of our state realized what's exactly happening. And then he also had the recommendations from the IT secretary, Shri Jayesh Ranjanji, and IT minister, Shri KTR ji. They also were in favor of that because in 2016 also, the TRS government also established after 2014. I had to work with this TRS government also to continue that because it was a 5-year lapsed period of time. So they continued it. Now they call it as an image policy. Previous government called it as a game policy. So the construction is going on. Bad luck to all of us is the COVID hit us very hard. The workers and everybody else. So 2 years the project got delayed. So fairly soon it's about a 1.6 million square footage of place is going to be there. Several academies is going to be there, and our Digiquest Academy has been assured to get us some space over there. And all the big companies from all over the world, we are trying to invite them. So the purpose of starting Digiquest is basically we had a very severe shortage. Even today there is a severe shortage, and the shortage is increasing by the day based on the technology which is increasing right now. So when we started, it was in nascent stage. Now the technology has emerged into metaverse technologies and so on and so forth. So the educational and the training and all that stuff has to be in these formats, if not today, tomorrow. So the need for people in this particular area, even though we are struggling a lot at the universities level, at our university level, they're trying to charge us too much of fees for every student and so on and so forth. Whereas they should be even subsidizing us to encourage so that the future employment for our youth is possible. There are, last I heard was, I think, I'm trying to remember which exact organization is there, but it will come back soon. They predicted that 1.2 million jobs are available in our field now, and there are no students, not that many students throughout the country. And I'm glad that the IIT in Bombay has taken over and started their center of excellence in this field. I'm glad there are certain portions of this technology is being started at the Hyderabad IIT. Um, this is the same gentleman, my brother-in-law, who I work with, who's been the chairman of the science. He's now the chairman of IIT Hyderabad. And in our discussions, when we talked about these things, opportunities, even IIT in Hyderabad, they are starting into those kinds of stuff now. So the AR, MR is all going to be very beneficial for our youth. They always keep saying in every place, we need more education institutions and train our students because we are genetically skillfully talented. If you look at the history of India, I mean, look at the monuments what we have built in our nation, and how many years ago, how many thousands of years ago, and what were the tools we had in those days? Just chisel and hammer, and we could do such beautiful, beautiful monuments so symmetrically and engineeringly, so perfect. I mean, now computers in our hands, and being the probably the second best IT countries in the world, I think it's quite possible that we could become the hub. This Y2K is nothing in front of this. Trust me, Y2K was just a few years thing. This is going on and on and on, and technology improving and so on and so forth. Your immersiveness in the lab environment, your operations, health sector, you name it. There is no sector which will not be using the graphics and as well as the technology. So your graphics and technology put together, it's a creative art and technology put together. We can, I mean, we can achieve billions. Think about how many educational books are there which needs to be digitized in a not in a text format but also in a graphical format, and make them as an educational tool. They're already doing it. But it has more opportunity, more potential, is what I'm trying to say. So more colleges should be open. At Digiquest, we consistently try to educate the people in the. We don't service only movie, even though we service movie industry as a service company, but as an educational institution, we teach those kids and they get practical experience in the projects which are going on. We are making them now. We are enhancing our requirements that every quarter they will have to have a project completed, type of a thing. So in the animation side, in the gaming side, we're going to make more games. Um, we want to have our own animated series and so on and so forth. So we trying. What one of my ambition is when I started this college, it's a not for profit, is by second year the student should be employable in some fashion or other part time. Like I used to work part time when I was going to go to college in US. So that opportunity should be given. I mean, the other thing I like about it is this recently COVID period. Quite a few second year students of my college were employed full time because there were no classes for a while. Then later on, the online classes came on board. So they used to attend the online class and work for the company. And the companies gave them the permission to even attend the online classes from the companies because there's such a serious shortage there. Third year students were gone, full time jobs, and some didn't even come back after this thing. Fourth year students don't want to even come back, they're just coming back for the exams. And I also talked to the education authorities here, the chairman, ex chairman, and the current, who is the chairman at the time, he was the chairman, vice chairman, about in our field, it's not theoretical more so than it's practical. So the people working in the field should be considered as practical educational credit requirements, and they agreed, even though it's nothing officially written on it, but they agreed, and hopefully they will come up with a policy, if not sooner than later.
All right. So moving ahead, I really want to know, sir, what are your future plans with respect to the organization and your personal future plans as well?
Well, I mean, yeah, I always had some kind of various, I graduated from agriculture science and did my food science, and I worked in the food industry for 14 years, 7 years in the service, restaurants and all that stuff. I did everything what anybody should do, including cleaning the bathrooms and everything else. So then 7 years I worked in the manufacturing environment and so on and so forth. Sometimes when I look back, I also think probably I should have entered the food industry before this, but it was more of a passion. It was more of a pride of the nation type of a thing that we should develop better movies and better things. Uh, so this is a society. It's going to continue on, and my ambition is to team up with the international schools, which are the best in this field, and bring in the best of the best talent all over the world, and make our youth to be, I mean, able to compete with any Hollywood movie. I would say every Hollywood movie should be coming to India. I mean, that's how economical and quality we should produce. I mean, we are getting there. We're still not there. In Bahubalis, Triple R's, or I mean, some of these movies. I have interacted with Rajmali Garu on several occasions. He did his Magadira in our studio, the color grading and so on and so forth. So, I mean, he was not interested at the time in the digital, but now he cannot shoot without it. Nobody can shoot without being digital. There's no film processing places over there. And I'm glad it saved a lot of pollution and it saved a lot of foreign exchange too, because so many prints we used to do, thousands of prints for some big movies. All that money is saved up. Now you can send digitally. Hopefully, the 5G will come soon. Now even hard drives are used. So future, the hard drive should not be used. I mean, we should be able to send the data to every theater directly, or the theater should be able to pick it out from a server and show it. They don't even need to have a storage. Those kinds of things, the technology is giving us the opportunities. I would like to work in those directions to the governments also, to allow the movie content be transferred out to the theaters at a reasonable price, rather than recording on a hard drive and send it back. And of course, there are VSAT transfers are also there now, but it takes a long time. Now 5G coming in and the fiber optics being laid everywhere in every state, and I think it's a central government policy also to get every house, the last mile, also get a fiber. This thing, I'm looking forward for that. Once it comes in, I mean, anybody can, a person who has difficulties taking care of their parents in a village, the kid can stay at home and work on it and transfer the data. I mean, per frame, this much is standard prices are there. So per second of this much of work, the standard prices are there. So he can be at home taking care of their old parents and maybe even the 2 acre farm. Because I come from a farmer's family, I've seen in the grassroots levels. I do go to the villages, so I see those kinds of kids does not even have to come to Hyderabad and waste money doing certain work which he could do from home. Of course, there are few, how do I say that, security issues have to be addressed, which can be addressed. Only in few projects they want to secure every frame of their project. But there are several projects doesn't need that much of security, training. A BMW trainer, I mean, does not need to be at every place to train those people. They could, using AR, VR technologies, he could be there and work on a transmission and an airplane engine. They could work on it without damaging the real things in the initial stages. Once they get experienced, they can do other things. We have done a project for Saudi Arabia. It was amazing. What I heard from them is they were cleaning the AR/VR environment. You can clean up a radiator, which for the oil rigs, they get dusty soon because it's in the dusty environment. So they have to go every so often maintenance. And then if you are not, if you don't leave the place within half an hour, somebody will hijack you and then take you and kidnap you and take you and ask for a ransom. This ISI was used to do that, I understand. So there was a Yemeni student going to college in Malaysia. He came to our college, tried to do that project as his thesis for his submission. So, I mean, this is a few years ago. So we still have not established ourselves to a level where future. And now the Facebook entering into this, I think it will, and of course, Microsoft is very seriously involved in it. Google is very seriously getting involved in. So the future is bright for creative engineers. I have titled and trademarked. I had to fight for 3 years to get it because there is a chemical engineering, there is a mechanical engineering. Why not creative engineering? Why people think this is only for the movies and the gaming? When they talk about the gaming, they think it's a bad thing. No, no. I mean, education can be gamified. I mean, there are several projects and several subjects can be gamified to make a game. It's not every game is a bad game. There are some, yes, they came in and gave a bad publicity, But parents should understand that this technology can be used everywhere in every field if they work on these particular fields. So my future is try to educate, future plans to educate such people, and slowly phase out into the organic farming area. I do have a organic mangoes. People wait for 1 year to get it from me because they cannot get such better tasting. And the most heartening thing is one of the associates in the film chamber, the producers council, he says my mother never eats anything because she's highly diabetic and all that stuff, but she waits for your mangoes. It's a good thing. I mean, even small things like that. I recently had a triple bypass surgery and so on and so forth, and the best one of the best doctors in the country. Everybody knows him. He says, you have such a family background, such a bad family background of heart problems and all that stuff, but how come your heart muscles are so healthy? And he says, sir, it's very simple. It's the gift, I can say, and the gift of taking everything lightly in life, not to cheat anyone, not to lie to anyone, live your simple life, feel like you're being useful for someone on the face of the earth as long as you live here.
Right.
I think you will have a healthy heart.
Definitely, sir. So, on that note, moving ahead, you must be knowing about the Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign prevailing in India right now. So, what are your views on this campaign and how much do you concur with it?
I think it's very important. It's about time our Modi ji has came up with that. I mean, if you look at my conceptualizing this thing is basically nothing but Atmanirbhar here. I mean, it's now how many people are being engaged in being in Atmanirbhar, being satisfied, and so on and so forth, creatively in the creative side, and in other areas also. We should, I think, our Modi ji is trying to put more emphasis on that. We should not have been that much dependent on the Soviet arms until now. We still are, because of which, even though, how do I say that, ethically, morally, we should be a little bit more supportive to Ukraine. We are not able to because we are dependent on something else from Russia. So, of course, they have been our best friends for a long, long time. We have been at a very difficult, tough uh, place to be. We should have been off this place. We should have our own arms, our DRDO, our ISRO. I mean, we have such great scientists in our nation, and I don't think we give enough support to R&D to those facilities as much as we should to make Atmanirbhar in those fields. Defense field is the major field. We are dependent on other people. I think our defense minister Singh ji and as well as Modi ji and Shahji will put some emphasis on that to spend more money on R&D. If you look at our budgets for R&D, it's minuscule compared to other countries. Like we have less money than even Korea in the R&D, so we should do that. Saying things one thing, ma'am. Make in India is saying one thing, but really make it happen is another thing. So I request our government and all bureaucratic people over there to encourage companies to invest more into the R&D, give them some kind of benefits, just like you started CSR. Put in more emphasis on R&D, so on and so forth. Is what my request.
Indeed, sir. So, this year we'd be celebrating 75 years of our independence, which is famously known as Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. So, what would you like to say on this, and what is your vision pertaining to this?
Ma'am, you asked me a very awkward question for me in the given circumstances. After 75 years, I didn't want to see what I'm seeing today, the riots. I mean, I don't know where we are heading. If this is the case, we are nothing but going into a very serious turmoil. I wish the best for the 75th anniversary, even though with great difficulty. And I hope in the next 25 years, we will be a lot better than what we are today and celebrate a wonderful, wonderful 100th anniversary.
Okay, so first of all, congratulations on winning the Indian Achievers Award. I really want to know that what was the feeling when you came to know that you have won the award, and who all have been your constant supporters in this journey?
Well, I mean, who will not feel happy and proud and glad about getting such a great honor? The glory of India is I applied 4 times for Padma Shri. I didn't get it. I'm going to apply again. They send me a message this time. Says, "Hey, Padma Shri awards are starting again. Apply for it," type of thing. So I guess my name is noted there at least now. They are sending me the message. It's time for you to apply. So we'll see how that goes forward. And of course, the glory of India from eminent people who are on your board and so on and so forth think that I deserve it. I gratefully thank them, and I'm very happy they found me eligible for it. And I thank them all.
Right, sir. So now, since we know a lot about your professional role, tell us something about your social contributions also.
Well, I mean, to do anything, it's a little difficult in our nation. It's getting, again, even more difficult. I had a micro finance projects and all that stuff for several people. I see happy when I go back there and see them being successful in their small little entrepreneurships. Shepherds were there, and some small tea stall and all that stuff. Um, that I've done it, but what happened is the people who maintains those things, which initial investments, are not that legit. The money disappeared, and I lost interest because if I felt like unless I get day to day involvement in those things, it would be very difficult to manage that. And of course, I'm involved in a society where they built a hostel for students, economically backward students. They wanted to build it on the Reddy community name because I'm a Reddy. And it says nothing doing. It's got nothing to do with Reddy or anything like that. Reddy Seva Samiti is made them change name Reddy Seva Sangh to Reddy Seva Samiti. Um, Insisted this is in 1999 type of thing. Uh, so now they have about 250 students from all religions, all castes. Only 16% are Reddys over there. On May 1st, there is a huge inauguration of a function hall over there. Uh, it's progressing. I'm very happy. I salute to the people who been on the ground and trying to do it. I mean, 250 students is not a joke in a district headquarters. I was just this morning when I was coming into the office, I was thinking how to improve and upgrade the existing thing and make sure that more people are going to get into it. It's right across Palamur University now, and there was a train track, and then our ex-MP, who's also an active participant in this, he also influenced in the railway department and got a under the underbridge passway from across the street. So now people who are going to that university can come into the hostel a lot easier. So we're trying to build more floors and so on and so forth. So that it's a kind of a satisfaction, and I do sponsor some students who are completely economical. It's a very low cost. It's not for profit, but even that, some people who are not able to afford to pay, I do pay. There is a girls' hostel separate. We do pay for some girls who are there. So that's a little bit what I can do. I do during COVID period. I had so many Google payments to so many people. It's now not even funny. I myself is in debt. To be honest with you, I'm in debt. I may have assets worth more than my debts are, but I'm in debt. I'm paying with interest. There are several people I helped them out free. 5,000, 10,000. When I was looking at it the other day, it went into lakhs. Then I said, well, I can make I can make my living. Those people needed the help. So at the time I could be useful to help those people. That's how I think my heart is so strong. I mean, heart muscles is I have a satisfaction every day that I've done something good for somebody else, not for myself.
It's really noble, sir. So, before concluding this session, you know that IF is followed not only by mainstream organizations, but also those young minds who aspire to be like our achievers someday. So, what is that one message you'd like to give them?
Well, I think India has a very bright future. I think India needs to look into creative engineering more. I mean, with more interest and more viability is there for our youth to be employed. And I also request the parents whose kids wants to get into this gaming or special effects or animation. It's not all bad. It's really good. There are people who are making crores of rupees. The VFX technicians, the chief technician makes 3 crores for a movie, for a Robo movie, Robo One, Robo Two, Bahubalis. These are all people are all making in crores. So it is not a bad profession. It's a very good profession, and at least it's now um, a kind of a guaranteed profession now that either you can be employed or you can start your own small little company, become an entrepreneur yourself, and then move forward making some of these contents which can be used all over the world.
And that I must say, sir, is a great piece of advice. Thank you so much for joining with us today. It was a pleasure talking to you, and we hope that you continue to inspire people of all ages forever. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Vakita, and thanks everyone who will be watching this.